I'm James Brierton in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to an all new edition of the Carolina Weather Group. As we approach the 1 year anniversary of Hurricane Helene, we're listening and collecting Helene stories from across the Carolinas. And the one you're going to hear tonight might be like no other. We're going to be talking with the man behind the popular YouTube channel, LGR, and he'll be joining us in just moments right here on an all new edition of the Carolina Weather Group. To believe it's been almost a year since Hurricane Helene rocked the Carolinas. I'm James Brierton, Charlotte, North Carolina. I've got Sam Walker out on the Outer Banks coming up in the second half hour of our program. Sam will be giving us an update on the aftermath of Erin and all that it left along the Outer Banks and the coastal areas of North Carolina. Our guest this week, you might know him as LGR. It's Clint Basinger. I've been following your channel since Lazy Game Reviews, when the acronym stood for something.
Yeah.
I appreciate you making time for us here tonight on the Carolina Weather Group.
Yeah, happy to be here where the acronym stands for nothing.
I want to roll some video here in a second. Some of our viewers may be familiar with your channel over on YouTube. We do vintage tech and you still do game reviews, retro ones in particular. But let me play some video for anybody who hasn't seen your Helene story, and then we'll talk to you about it on the other side here.
Greetings. The LGR videos are going to be postponed for a while. You've probably seen. I am finally getting logs and stuff, or trees, full-on trees, taken out of the house now, but it's a bit of an ordeal. I don't know how long I'll be gone, but I'm safe, family's safe, friends are safe. You can see where the trees were really resting, I think. On the back of the house right there, there's that back wall and then sort of the support joint or whatever that is on the left. And they thankfully came to rest in the living room floor and didn't fully go through. But yeah, obviously the entire roof and everything just caved in here. And yeah, came down unfortunately on my little arcade machines collection and the large arcade machines, the Acer there. I don't know. I'm hopeful that some of these things will be cleaned and maybe get to work again. I don't really know. I haven't. Back there along that wall was where the main shelves are that we're going to be cleaning stuff off of. The water was just leaking in crazy right there, but also right here, a lot of wet stuff was.
So, Clint, I got to tell you, right in the aftermath of Helene, impacting so much of the Carolinas, up until that point, I don't think I ever realized that you were here in the Carolinas. Like so many people we watch on TV or in the movies or on YouTube, they're people who make stuff, and you just kind of assume they're like on another planet. And I remember seeing that tree through your home, going, "Oh my goodness! Like you're right here." So, how are you doing as we come up on the 1 year anniversary of the storm?
Honestly, pretty great. It is extremely encouraging to finally be reaching just sort of the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, on my own personal repairs and hopefully starting to move back in maybe a month. But it's, yeah, almost a year later, and it almost feels like it's been 10 years and yet no time at all. It's just a very weird time warp, this entire thing. So, yeah, personally, I'm finally getting to. I feel just a slight bit more like myself again after all of that. I mean, because it really feels like everything has been on hold and yet extremely busy with nonsense the whole time. The whole thing is a paradox.
I mean, I was going to ask you, when do you get to go home? Because folks who may be meeting you for the first time tonight, you're not home right now.
Right. Yeah. I'm in a just a rental here supplied by my insurance, so I'm fortunate to have that. But I mean, there's it could have gone any number of ways. Like I honestly didn't even know that I had this on my insurance policy. So, here we are. I'm still in this rental after almost a year, and I'm really glad to have that because, yeah, I mean, I've got next door neighbors and stuff who still haven't even begun repairs, and like it's completely kind of a toss up. It seems depending on what you had and what you didn't know you had and all that. So,
Yeah.
still waiting to move back.
Yeah. Do you have any timeline on when you get to go home?
At this point, it's by September 30th is when I'm supposed to be
Oh, okay.
out of this rental, but I mean, it's been extended 5 times now, so it
Mm.
could extend again, you never know, but fingers crossed, we're finally to the final thing now, and yeah, the inspections and stuff are supposed to start in a couple weeks to, make sure that it's all back together properly, so we'll see.
Yeah, those who follow you on YouTube or Patreon, you've been posting regular updates, and we'll play some of the video again here. And we have the before, the during, and kind of the current state of things, and a lot of progress has been made on the home. Let me ask you about 12 months ago. Where were you during the storm when this tree came crashing down?
Yeah, so the night of September 27th, I was upstairs, just
Whoa.
one room over from where those two oak trees came through, about 80-foot tall oak trees. And they both came down pretty much simultaneously around like 6:30 a.m. That I guess, yeah, it was the night of the 26th, and then by the time the 27th morning came around, things were starting to get really crazy around 5 a.m. or so, and that's when you started hearing this sort of freight train sound. I'm like, okay, I don't feel safe upstairs. I should probably go downstairs. So I went to the lowest point in the basement, just kind of huddled up at the bathtub, and yeah, that's when it was shortly after that that the trees both came down pretty much at the same time, and I was in there. It sounded like a bomb was going off, honestly.
Well, I want to ask you: is you're being inland? I'm on the edge of the coast. We're used to this. Was this your first hurricane?
It was not. I've actually used to live in the Caribbean, so I saw
Oh, well,
some.
okay. You got it better than I. You've had it worse than I've ever had out here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some interesting things down there, but like, I've never seen anything anywhere near this here in the U.S. for sure. But also, I've never been this unprepared because
Mm.
I down there you expect it. You have all kinds of different things in the preparedness aspect of just reality, right? Because they're going to
Mm.
come through all the time. You know that here. I mean, the most I've ever seen is just like the remnants of such and such or some little whatever, oh, we get 10 inches of rain. What do you do? I mean, I've never seen anything like this and certainly wasn't anywhere prepared.
I think a lot of people are in that same boat, and
Yeah.
hopefully we never see anything like this again. Your story has got elements that I know countless people in the Carolinas and beyond can relate to. We saw lots of homes that were damaged, a lot of people who were uprooted, like yourself. Your story, though, has a unique aspect in that you're a YouTuber. You've got 2 million YouTube subscribers, and your home was not only your place of residence, but also this place that housed this vintage tech collection, which you work your living around. How much of your collection was lost?
Thankfully, not very much in the end. So where the trees came down, and they sort of rested on the top floor as they came through the roof and cleaved the house in two. Basically, the trees were just sort of right there, and then right below that floor was where the majority of my collection is. And we're talking, 18 years of collecting. There were a couple thousand random items in there of just everything from the 1970s onward in terms of vintage computers, software, and all of that, mostly all up on shelves. And, I made a really big point of keeping everything elevated off the floor, right? Because, basements and such, obviously, they get some water, and everything was up 4 inches off the floor. I thought it'd be fine if we got a little bit of water coming in. Well, I never expected the water to be coming in from above.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it was maybe 5%, honestly, that probably had to, just be tossed or whatever, just due to mold mostly because the mold was horrific. Mostly because there were so many things in there that were in boxes and paperwork, manuals, old floppy disks, and just things that were very, very prone to mold, including the shelves themselves, which I now know never to use particle board shelves, like metal shelving, but they had particle
Mm.
between, and that just turned into a mold factory. But it looked way, way, way worse at first because everything just got soaked. Thankfully, though, a lot of vintage hardware, which is mostly what was down in that room in particular, is very hardy. You just kind of dry it out and scrape it off and blow out the junk and make sure that everything is good and clean before you power it on again. And mostly it's fine. So I just kind of lost things like a lot of older laptops and some really smaller integrated things that were just too caked together with gunk to save. And then of course anything like I said, paper. But thankfully, the majority of things that were all in boxes, like I have a software and game collection as well that
Mhm.
I covered a lot of stuff. The channel, most of that was all on the other side of the house that didn't get the water intrusion. So that stuff all survived. If it had been in that room, that would have been far more difficult. So I got really, really lucky. It was mostly everything that upstairs that got destroyed. Mostly that was just, you know, personal life stuff.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you're a human being behind this YouTube
Yeah.
channel, right? So,
Yeah, I guess.
yeah, items in your home we've watched you on YouTube now tend to the mold, to the mildew. You've been out there wearing the mask and trying to clean what you can. Is there a particular item, personal or vintage, that you've managed to save that you weren't sure you were going to be able to save at first?
Yeah, there were a couple of computers in particular that were still brand new in their box, like 35 years old. And one of them was kind of special to me. It was my very first computer, or the same version of it,
Hmm.
Packard Bell 486 from the early 90s. And that thing probably got the most water of anything else. And this was that nasty hurricane water with all the gunk from the roof and everything soaking into it, soaked the outside. That it looked toast. It completely looked trashed. But then once it got on the inside, and down past the layers of all, the paper and the cardboard and everything else, it actually just had the slightest bit of gunk, and that was about it.
Wow.
I was really shocked that that survived as well as it did, and yeah, I mean that's kind of the same story throughout most of what I recovered down there. But anything that was just exposed without any kind of protection, yeah, that I mean, there's some of those things that are still disgusting smelling, and I don't know if I'll ever end up getting that smell out of there. Who knows?
What drew you to the path to rebuild as opposed to relocate?
Uh, I mean, yeah, definitely. When it first happened, I was very much thinking that, well, this is it. This is it. I'm done with this kind of thing. Here, I'm done with this hobby. I'm done with this channel. All the things go through my mind as I'm seeing everything what looked to be pretty well crushed. But as soon as I started uncovering things and started getting the help from the community, the viewers, family, friends, neighbors, everybody coming through to just sort through things and help out, and seeing how much of it really wasn't destroyed and was not only salvageable but kind of getting a second chance. I felt like getting a second chance myself through that in a way, and being rebuilt alongside the community. And yeah, I mean, again, neighbors, family, friends, people locally, seeing all of that really reinforced, like, I don't want to go anywhere here. And this does,
Mhm.
be different if I lived on a coast or something, and I was more expecting this to happen more and more often. I mean, maybe, again, you never really know, but this did seem like that very rare kind of thing. So that and of course combined with insurance actually working out. If things hadn't worked out, like unfortunately with my neighbors, they're having to pursue legal action or whatever just
Oh.
because of theirs isn't working at
Mhm.
all, and they weren't able to get the help they need, and they still haven't started rebuilding at all. So if I were in that kind of situation, it'd be different. But very, very fortunate to have most things, slowly but surely working out in terms of the monetary, and of course, more importantly, just the personal support from people, just encouraging me to continue. Honestly, that's been the biggest thing.
Well, and take the experience about to your neighbors, the neighborhood that you're in, and out here on the coast, everybody thinks about, hey, how'd the beach do, and they forget that the people who wait the tables and do the laundry and make the beds live on the sound side, and out here with in the same situation in Asheville, everybody thinks, all right, the Biltmore's open, the you know the I mean, are we going to be able to go build gingerbread houses in December? But there's people that actually live in these communities that were devastated by Helene. What's the been how's things gone in your neighborhood and in the community as a whole over these last 11 months?
It is extremely unpredictable. It depends on literally which road you go down
Mhm.
and which community, which even little corner of a community you're in. I mean, even in my part of Asheville, like there's a section where I'm at where it looks like you know a hurricane went through, and then you go down a road over and everything is untouched. So yeah, it's that coming to terms with that has been really difficult, I guess, because everybody is in such a completely unique situation. So it kind of depends on who you ask and where you go. But overall, I would say it's more positive than anything at the moment. People are finally getting mostly to the point of being able to start going back to or having rebuilt their positions and wherever their workplaces were, or recreating some of their shops and stuff downtown, or not
Hmm.
downtown but like around the River Arts District
Yeah.
in particular,
Yeah.
things like that. That is, even if it's a makeshift situation, I'd say overall the vibes are really good. It's very Asheville and very uh, ready
Yeah.
to go and like ready to just move on. People are so tired of it all. We're just ready to move
Mm.
on, no matter even if things are rebuilt or not. And yeah, sure, a lot of the bigger things, I guess, really weren't that badly hurt in terms of the touristy kind of things. But you still go to like Biltmore Village and it's a complete wreck, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like that
Right.
area down there. I just had a friend come in into town to see that just for the first time a
Hmm.
few weeks ago, and he was completely under the impression that all that had been put back, and it's pretty much none of it has. I think there's like
Mm.
one restaurant that's been rebuilt down there that
Wow.
and yeah, it's very slow, but again, highly highly positive overall, or at least people are showing that.
Yeah. I was actually in Biltmore Village. I was in Asheville 7 days before Helene hit.
Yeah.
And to
Oh.
see the imagery from Biltmore Village alone of the flooding, but your experience has been with the tree damage. And we talk
Right.
so much about, on a weather podcast and what we do covering the weather, like we do so much about the water threats, here on the coast. And we don't talk as much about the tree threats, but you've experienced firsthand that. What going into the storm would you like to have seen done differently? As someone who's not as tied into the weather as like we are, what would you have rather seen differently the next time a system like this threatens?
I wish I had an answer to that.
Hmm.
I honestly don't feel that they could have necessarily done much better, at least in terms of
Okay.
like local news and local
Hmm.
weather and local reporting. Like, obviously nobody expected it to be that bad, especially in
Hmm.
regards, at least in my experience, the wind. uh, I don't know. I guess I wish I had known more about the risks of all the stuff that happened before the hurricane, which really
Mm.
seems to be the big
Yeah.
issue in my case, because my yard was under that 20 some inches of rain or whatever we had, and
Right.
everything was just a marsh kind of situation. And I genuinely had no idea that that kind of thing could be so extremely risky when it comes to such tall, healthy trees. I mean, they were
Mhm.
really big and healthy. I literally had an arborist out there the week before to trim and take down other trees to make sure that things were going to be okay for the hurricane
Wow.
season and whatnot. And all the trees that were marked as okay, those are the ones that came down. Those are the
Mhm.
ones that got ruined and wrecked the house. The big giant pines and the huge oaks and things like that. Um, in my neighborhood and pretty much everywhere else that got that kind of wind, just again, it was like 30 minutes. It was like 30 minutes of just this sustained nonsense that took everything out so quickly. And I guess I just was aware that that could happen.
Mm.
That sounds really frustrating because what I'm hearing you say is you did all the things you think
Right.
you were supposed to
Yeah.
do,
Right.
and yet here we are. You mentioned earlier you were working with insurance companies. I don't know if FEMA was involved or other response organizations. What has been your experience with those response organizations?
Everybody that I've reached out to in terms of FEMA and some local assistance and things like that, groups just offering help, have been completely helpful and as much as they possibly could. Um, FEMA didn't do a whole lot in my case because I did have insurance that covered most everything. So I pretty much just did the I don't know. I guess what was that minimum $750 kind of thing? Or I got
Hmm.
that, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all I qualified for. And I'm like, no, that's fine. And as far as I know, like the people that were in my immediate neighborhood, they had really good experiences too. Especially some of the other neighbors who have been fighting insurance so much. And
Hmm.
yeah, I know they were able to get temporary housing through them and stuff like that. So
Okay.
in my own personal experience, everybody that I've reached out to has been great, and like local. churches and relief groups and things like that, or the Operation Airdrop people that
Yeah, yeah.
all that kind of stuff. That it's been awesome just to see people come out of the woodwork, like kind of literally at one point with chainsaws coming out of the woods, and just they made it happen.
Mhm.
And yeah, I pretty much have in my own personal experience nothing but good things to say. Again, though, I know that's not everybody's result.
Mhm. Yeah, disasters can bring out the best in people and really bring this community together in ways that they may not have on under different circumstances. You also mentioned your broader community, your YouTube community, your virtual community. What has the response been like from them, and how has it made you feel?
Incredible, honestly.
Mhm.
I really never expected to. You never expect to have to make that kind of a video where you're like, well, I
Mhm.
don't know what the future is of anything anymore. But that was immediately overwhelming, especially once I finally got cell service back,
Yeah.
because there was a while there I had no way to communicate with anybody or
Mhm.
anything, not even family. There were no phones, there was no internet, there was no nothing. And yeah, once it did, I mean, it was literally several hundred messages just in text form alone, much less things on the internet. I'm still answering emails and still trying to get back to people
Right.
that reached out to help from you name it, literally around the country, around the world. And I did have people come in from out of state, across the country, and everywhere that they could. I mean, I had to, again, some people I didn't even know, and they were just offering, and they came over and helped, and it's making new friends from people that previously just watched. And yeah, that I really don't know where I would be without that, and I
Mhm.
feel kind of guilty about it sometimes, to be honest, because I just had about the best experience you could have for the hurricane, I think, compared to some of the other folks that maybe not didn't have that kind of virtual and then turning into a in-person support system. So yeah, incredibly grateful for that.
Well, I think if nothing else, you've been, I don't want to say a spokesperson, but you have shared your experience with the world and really shown people what it's like. Um, because after the storm, so much of Western North Carolina was cut off. You guys were like on an island. And even here in Charlotte, we didn't fully understand what was going on. And you're not that terribly far from us. I know inside that dome, vintage tech, if you will, such as like AM radio and ham radio, like really stepped up. I'm curious to hear from you a little bit more on what you did to get reconnected, because I will tell you, out here in the outside world, that 1 minute and 7 second video you posted was some of the first images I was seeing from the inside.
Oh wow. Yeah, that right there. I think it was what, maybe 3 days after it happened. So yeah, at that point we were trying to find anything that we could, because there was no cell service anywhere. And that happened to be, I think, somebody, some local cell company had like teamed up with one of the big carriers and like set up a temporary station
Mhm.
in like the parking lot of a Walmart or something. So I pretty much just drove there as soon as we possibly could. And I tried to compress the video down as small as possible so as to use a little bit of data. But yeah, eventually, after uploading and trying a few times over the past that full day there, it finally went through. So yeah, that was one of the only ways that I had to get through, was just a bit of cellular data, and that was, yeah, it was like stepping back to dial-up days almost. It was interesting. Um, and then, yeah, after that, it was just kind of waiting for things to slowly come back online. I had one neighbor with a Starlink. We used that a little bit. So, yeah, it was just piece by piece. It made me really, really wish for some kind of a ham radio or any kind of amateur radio
Yeah.
setup at all, which I
Mm.
have since purchased. I'm getting into that.
Okay.
Like, it's gonna, survivalist kind of things. The things that I've learned in terms of stuff to get is, yeah, that's a whole eye opening experience right there.
I know Frank has a question, and we're coming up on our 30 minutes with you. I'll just quickly ask: have there been any pieces of technology you've picked up since the storm that you have now?
Oh yeah, yeah. All kinds of longer range, like walkie-talkie things, so I can maybe communicate with some folks a few miles away,
Hmm.
because even that wasn't possible.
Hmm.
So just being able to contact family like that would be amazing. So that, yeah, it's definitely some like ham radio stuff, just to be able to listen in. Just being able to listen
Yeah.
was so important. Definitely stocking up a whole lot more on just any kind of solar stuff and battery things. I mean, we went around the neighborhood and gathered every tiny little solar charger everybody had, because that's who never thought we'd really need a bigger kind of setup. And my one neighbor who had a huge solar setup that was destroyed by trees.
Oh,
So,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. It's like having the more portable stuff,
Mhm.
things in somewhere that's going to be protected and safe. So yeah, I would say mostly it's has to do with energy and communication for sure.
Frank Strait in Columbia, South Carolina, I know has a question for you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hi, Clint. I'm sorry I had to join late because my computer was acting like vintage tech for a while. And
So it goes.
finally managed to get the camera to work here. But anyway, the question I have for you, I'm down in Columbia, and even though I'm down here, my degree in atmospheric science is from UNCA. So I lived in Nashville 5 years. My parents live in Western North Carolina, so I know a thing or two about the area. But anyway, so my question for you is having to spend days in Helene with no power and no way to communicate. How did you manage to hold it together? How close were you to going bonkers because you were stuck in like the 1960s for a few days or several days, actually?
Surprisingly, it was I don't want to say fun, but
Mm.
it was an adventure to a degree that I sort of enjoyed. Just because I had to like go out and meet every one of my neighbors, and we went around gathering supplies and sort of generated a community, which is going on to now. Like there's people now that I'm keeping in touch with and checking in with every so often, and texting back and forth now that we can again. That yeah, that I don't think know if I ever would have. People down the road, it's like, oh, you've lived there for how long? I've lived there. How do we never met? And so yeah, it was kind of. It ended up being kind of oddly enjoyable just to be able to reach out and like form a little community there, and that kept off the sort of overall harsher reality, I suppose, just being able to commiserate and bond with people. And if I was out there alone or something, yeah, that would be, oh, that would be a little bit different for sure. It'd just be me and the bears at that point. So,
So you didn't have any neighbors once you introduced yourself to them and told them what you did. Did you didn't have any neighbors that said, "Oh my God, you're the LGR guy? He's a neighbor of
uh,
mine."
no,
None of that.
thankfully not. No, most of my neighbors are either retired or just like, oh yeah, you're that weird guy who never comes out of his house. What are you doing there all day anyway? So, yeah.
Any good feasts? Because when my Hurricane Fran 1995, we lost power for 7 days down in Dunn, North Carolina. And by the time we got to like day 3, everybody had pulled everything out of the freezer and was grilling everything. Was that the same taste for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, at one point we just kind of went around again, just sort of made the rounds of the neighborhood, gathered stuff up in like pillowcases, and just, well, we're eating everything we've got. Everybody has any kind of way to cook stuff, and of course, trying to avoid the dreaded molding and nastiness of
Mhm.
things rotting away, which unfortunately I forgot about the stuff in my freezer. I took everything out of the fridge, but I forgot the freezer.
Oh,
So, but to be fair, I did have 2 oak trees in the way of it, so it was a little bit hard to get to.
mm.
Yeah.
Definitely some fun cookouts though in the middle of the woods.
Wow. I have appreciate you sharing your story on your YouTube channel and with our followers here tonight in the Carolina Weather Group. For anyone who's not already following your channel, where can they get subscribed?
Yeah, youtube.com/@LGR. Just search LGR on YouTube or wherever. You probably run across me. It's old computers and games and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely some more updates going to be coming around. The 1 year mark as we're approaching here. I have a lot more footage from that whole time. I mean, I was vlogging and filming the whole time just in case. 'Cause that was another
Mhm.
thing that sort of kept me sane. Actually, was pretending that there was an audience. So yeah, there's definitely more to come there, and search LGR and you'll find it.
We're pretending there's an audience right now.
Yeah,
I've been pretending. I've been pretending since I was 8 years old. So come on.
there you go. There you go.
Well, before we let you go, non-Helene thing, I'll just tell you, my son has just now played The Sims for the first time,
Wow, wonderful.
and he's starting to describe his emotions now in bars, like his
Yeah,
moods are getting low. So,
that's very familiar. Yeah. Wonderful.
all right. Well, we appreciate you again taking the time out. Looking forward to what you got next coming to the channel and some of the additional behind the scenes stuff that you'll be posting. So we'll keep a close eye out for that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Talk to you again real soon. We'll move on here with the rest of our show in just a moment. But first, our ad read. We want to thank our friends over at Queensboro, our friends over there in Wilmington, North Carolina. When you're building your brand, every detail matters, including what you wear. Queensboro Shirt Company makes it easy with easy ordering, free logo setup, and no hidden fees. For more than 40 years, they've helped people and businesses share who they are with the world with their quality embroidery and print. It's all about honest pricing, small business friendly, and genuine care. Plus, they've got a no returns necessary guarantee. Means you can try them absolutely risk-free. Go to queensboro.com to see for yourself why they're the top-rated custom logo apparel company on the internet. And Frank Strait is modeling some Queensboro apparel tonight. And Sam's got his hat, which is good because I was going to make sure that Aaron didn't eat it.
Nope. It made it. It made it. And the shirt. It's upstairs. But yep, it made it.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And I brought my other hat, and now I can't figure out where I put it down in this pile of very organized office I sit in. But you can support the Carolina Weather Group and support the local economy there with this Wilmington-based company by scanning the QR code that's on your screen and ordering yourself some Carolina Weather Group merch. And we hope that you will check that out. Well, hello, gentlemen.
Hello there.
Hello, James.
Hello. It really feels like August and the tropics have just come alive, Sam. How is the Outer Banks doing after Aaron?
It's what, Wednesday?
I think so.
I mean, honestly, you wouldn't know it happened at all unless you go to Hatteras Island and the north end of Ocracoke. That's weird. I mean, these things are like rubber on us sometimes. But when you see some of the images, you know, you start thinking this one will go down. This one will go down in the memory banks because, I mean, and James, I don't know if you've got some things pulled up. I can pull a couple of things real quick.
I'm pulling them now, but
Yeah,
you might be able to beat me.
Yeah. It's kind of everything went back to normal except in Buxton. And everywhere else, that's how it is. I mean, Rodanthe didn't get torn up that bad as we were worried that it was going to. I mean, there was six structures there, and then and you've got this exact story I was going to pull, which that at the Island at islandfreepress.org, Joy Christ, and Donna Barrett, who do just a fabulous job covering both islands. But that picture you're seeing there, that is at the end of Old Lighthouse Road. Down to the bottom, down in the distance, that's where the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse once stood until it was moved in 1999. What you're seeing is not just the debris from the houses and decks and first floors of houses in North Buxton that were pretty beat up. What you're also seeing is the remnants of a former Cold War era Navy base. And over the last 2 years, and we talked about it on previous episodes, that the remnants of that base that the military just essentially threw their hands up and walked away from, and that's what they seem to do sometimes, have all been exposed by Aaron. They've been exposed by several offshore hurricanes and nor'easters over the last 2 years, but it really just, tore through there. And that's kind of been the impetus of trying to get it cleaned up. But as you can see, that road that that gentleman right there standing on, or just to the left of, that road once went straight down what's now Ocean, and down past the lighthouse, and then went around to Frisco, long before Highway 12 cut across the island like it does now. That was the road. But really, that is the only area that you really see. That stretch right there of Highway 12, if you go look at it right now, and I believe that's Ocracoke on Sunday. Is that Sunday or Monday? Can you tell me? I can't see.
August 24th is when it was posted, so that would have been Sunday.
Okay, so that's Sunday morning on Ocracoke, and that was on the north end of Ocracoke. And we're not talking about a big stretch, but you go back and look at it right now, if the DOT camera, which they actually got those fixed, thankfully, had night vision, we'd be able to see, or somebody had lights out there, we'd really be able to see now. Yeah, this is a great video.
Yeah,
that shows you how. But that it's clear now. It's right back the way it was, with sand, with the berm piled up on the sandbags there on the ocean side, and the pavement's exposed. But that was a great time lapse they did from that camera, showing how the cleanup goes. It's just like cleaning a pool, guys. It's exactly
I was going to say
what it
it's
felt
like snow plowing.
it's snow plowing, folks. That is exactly it. What we do out here is sand plowing instead of snow plowing, and we have dedicated crews. DOT did a great job of getting not only the guys that do this every day and all hours on Hatteras and Ocracoke, but they brought in crews from the rest of Division One out here in the Northeast, where I live in Currituck, and then Terrell County and a couple of the other counties just across the Sounds to come in, and that really sped things up. So, evacuation orders all drop Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Sunday and Monday, and everything's back to normal. It's just like the final week of August. It doesn't feel like it weather-wise. It feels like a false fall out here. But
everywhere else.
We bounce back. We've bounced back just like we always do from these things, it seems like.
I'm trying to find, I can't find the actual tweet right now, but I know there was an exchange over on X about whether or not more homes fell into the ocean.
Yeah, I got tagged in that last night. I'll see if I can find that. But
I didn't feel like that old ago, and I was trying to find it here.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We didn't lose any. There were a lot of, like I said, ground floor. And when we talk about ground floor here, ground floor is not oceanfront homes. You don't live in those. Those are like basements. They're fun rooms or rumpus rooms. It's where you put a pool table. It's where you put a ping pong table. It's where you might have a wet bar to go out to the pool or go out to the beach. You might have a spare bedroom, and some places they'll end up renting those out as a little Airbnb action going on there. But when the reason they're built the way they are is that if the ocean comes in and the ocean comes in, it's going to take it out. And that's what all that debris that you saw scattered. A lot of that debris is from those first floors. We've got probably about 24 homes that have been condemned in Buxton because their septic tanks failed, or there might be some structural damage enough that the building inspectors in Dare County said, no, you can't have people in there. So the power's been cut.
24 homes just from Aaron.
Yeah, roughly about 24 homes just from Aaron.
Okay.
Yeah. There were a couple that were left over from the last couple of blows we had, but yeah, about 24 that cannot be occupied. They're all vacation rentals, which stinks because those people they're losing the rest of the revenue for the rest of the year.
True.
And if we've kind of trying to get an economic estimate on it, I can tell you this: one campground owner I talked to, they lost $100,000 over 6 days of evacuation. Now it's one of the larger it's one of the largest campgrounds on Hatteras Island, but they lost well over $100,000. So they're fortunate enough that they've had record numbers for the last 5 years. But so the economic impact from this, all those homeowners, they're going to miss out on rentals the rest of the year. Not just, summer. We don't just rent here summer and shoulder season. We rent year round here now. We don't get an off season like you used to before COVID. They've lost that revenue. In turn, that's lost revenue, sales tax revenue in North Carolina, lost occupancy tax revenue, and that's key for Buxton because we got a beach nourishment project to pay for next year. By losing that revenue, a portion of that occupancy tax goes back into the fun beach nourishment. So there's going to be lost dollars there, and Buxton is right on the edge. And I talked about it before. Rodanthe doesn't have enough properties to be able to justify a tax like that on their properties to pay for beach nourishment. So, but for the most part, yeah, we're back to normal. I mean, I think we got lucky by all means. 200 miles, we talk about 50 miles being the big difference on snowstorms. Well, hurricanes are the same thing. And you go back and what we just talked about in the first half hour about Helene, this could easily been a Helene for us. If
I was going to say
it worked.
You're rattling off all these impacts, and this is a storm that didn't even make landfall or drop a single raindrop here in the Carolinas.
Yeah, exactly. That's and it's crazy now. And we're not talking about some massive area. It's one thing about it. We're 110 miles long. The Outer Banks are, and phone calls. Hey, did you guys get hit by the storm? And this is Corolla. Somebody's in Corolla here asking, hey, did you guys get torn up by the storm? No, we didn't get torn up. It's just this little area, of parts of Hatteras Island and parts of Ocracoke Island, but it wasn't like this massive amount. It's just because so many of us, we got video, everybody's got social media now. and we had so many great shots that came out of this storm. But people think this is some massive event. No, it's not. It's a small event, but it's amazing how small this event was, how big the impacts are going to be over the next couple of months here because of all the things that happen whenever we have evacuations and whenever we have sand loss like this.
Talk to me a little bit, Sam, and I know you posted this over at Sam Walker, obxnews.com. NOAA's damage assessment that they're using, they're flying a plane around taking pictures.
Yeah.
You got a chance to look at this. What have they found? What have you found?
I'm not surprised by where we had sand loss, and I'm a little surprised in some places that got a little more beat up than I expected. I go back and say, did beach nourishment work? I know there are a lot of detractors on beach nourishment, but if you go look at this, and the areas that have gotten beach renourishment and beach nourishment over the last 14 years, dating back to 2011, this storm was the reason why that was done. Now, granted, it's done for multiple storms, but there are some spots that maybe Kill Devil Hills, for one, took a little bit more sand loss than I think people realize. Especially in what we call the First Street area, so just north of the Wright Memorial, the Wright Brothers National Memorial, that area. Up in Corova, I probably should start north to south. Let's start north. North is Corova, which is near the state line. That's the four-wheel drive area of Currituck's Outer Banks. That area, a lot of dune loss up there. We were already getting some issues up on that end. Yeah, there you go. So that area right there. Everything north of the little Kerala Village area. Hey, look, there's my house.
I can see my house from here.
I literally can. You see, move your cursor to the left. See that island over there to the left?
Over here?
Yeah. Okay. See that one right there? All right.
I'm trying not to get you swatted. The same thing I told Clint.
Do you know how many people know where I live? How many videos I post from this house? If you don't know where this house is, anyway, that little island right there, the little corner. Yep, your mouse was almost on. Yeah, zoom on down there. Just go on down. I don't care.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, all right. No, not that one. That's Bell's Island. Go on. Yeah, keep going. That one. That's Church's Island. Now go down south. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. See that? See right there, that little point. No, you're really going to go down. Keep going all the way down. Go down. There you go. See that little point right there at the end?
I did just mail you stuff, so I actually do probably.
You have my address. That's it.
I do have your address.
That's my house. Okay, so that's my house. All right, zoom back out. I just wanted to show you. Yeah, see how much water I have around me?
Yes.
And none of it came up and amazing. None of it came up to the house in 2000 in Hurricane Irene. When
you got that nice barrier bulkhead. Island to protect you.
I got a bulkhead. Yeah, I know. Well, that was no soundside flooding, 4 feet. Didn't come up to the house. Amazing. All right, so Kerala, four-wheel drive area. So that's where Highway 12's northern terminus is, where that yellow line ends. There, you're in the heart of Kerala Village. There's a Currituck Beach Lighthouse, the Whalehead Club just down below that. Zoom out just a little bit, and you'll see where the yellow line ends. All right, see where the yellow line is?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that's where, just north of there is where the four-wheel drive area starts. So you go on up there to the state line, the only fortified state line in the Union, by the way. There's a big fence across the North Carolina border.
We don't want the Virginians coming? Is that what's happening?
That's it.
If I were the Outer Banks, I wouldn't want the Virginians to come in either.
I've gone too far.
Maybe like an
they have their ways.
I've gone way too far. Here it is.
Strange ways in Virginia.
Yeah, so there's a fence right there that keeps you out of False Cape State Park, and which is on the Virginia side. So anyway, there was a lot of sand loss up and down, and right up around that area, and just south of there, a lot of dune loss.
Okay.
A lot more than I think people were expecting.
These waves.
Yeah, nice waves. Then if you keep on going down to, we'll zoom back out, going down.
Okay, so we go a little faster.
Yeah, we'll go a little faster because I could do this all day. Yeah, you might want to zoom out a little farther because we're gonna jump on down towards Duck.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay. So just north of Duck. So I know where that airplanes go back to where the airport is to the north there.
Okay.
Right there. See that little airport? Okay, that's Pine Island. Okay, that is just across the Currituck Duck line, Currituck and Dare line. That area experienced a lot more sand loss there. So that's they had some dune loss there that we weren't expecting.
Okay.
And I'm going off ground based observations from people who work there every day and said, yeah, this house, I got some oceanfront houses that they lost a lot of dune. And when I say they lost a lot of dune, it's not like the whole dune got flattened, but the whole face of it. You've got these big escarpments now. They're 4, 6, 8 feet tall. So those areas there, then it really kind of tapers off till you get, like I said, Kill Level Hills around the Wright Memorial. That was those areas there. Yeah. Roughly 1st Street, 3rd Street, where we had the Overwash video that popped up, pouring down the street and onto the beach road at 1st Street.
First Street.
Yeah, and you got 2 big apartment or condo complexes right there. Their sand fences took a beating, and those areas are going to probably be somewhere we got to watch for in the next 2 years if they don't get a beach enrichment project done next year. And then the other area that I'd say was not surprising and yet a little surprising is South Nags Head. So that's the end north of Oregon Inlet. Yep, you're right. That's South Nags Head essentially. Now that's Cape Hatteras National Seashore. That's Body Island Spit. Little farther north of that. And then that's pretty much the last. Yeah. So there's Old Oregon Inlet Road, South Nags Head, just north of that area. And the Body, yeah, so you're just outside the Body Island unit of Cape Hatteras National Seashore, those neighborhoods up there. I think that's where there was some concern that a house had fallen in, because if you look at some of the older satellite images, there's those houses right there? Yep. Those 3 right there? Okay. There were several more. If you look back at old Google Maps images, they're still there, but they were torn. There was one that was torn down last year. And I think that's where that discussion that got on X the other last night, in fact.
Which I can't find, by the way. The conversation seems to have disappeared.
It did disappear because we told him, hey, no, there's no houses that fell.
So Sam Walker fact check.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. But as you can see,
some of these houses are real close for whatever comes next.
They have no dune. Yeah, they have no dune. And that area has had 3 rounds of nourishment in the last 14 years.
What is nourishment?
So, beach nourishment is you just go out there and take a big vacuum cleaner, stick it in the sand, and pump it onto the beach. That's it.
Okay.
Move it. Yeah. And it's offshore. They call them borrow areas. So these big dredges will go and park a half mile, a mile, 2 miles offshore, pump it in big pipes. They just blow it. It's water and sand, and it blows up there, and they use bulldozers to level it off. That sand also accretes down into the surf zone. So where all those waves are breaking in those images, that's the surf zone. As you put that sand, you want it to taper. And what that does is absorbs the wave energy as it comes up. So it's not beating against the dry sand beach and the dunes, which all those dunes are artificial dunes. Did you know that?
No. I'm going to put the link to this in the comments, by the way.
Yeah, put it.
Everybody wants to go play with it. Because this is not satellite imagery. This is imagery that NOAA took from an airplane since Aaron, like fresh, hot off the press.
Yeah, like the last. Yeah, I think that they say they were still doing some of those missions. I have not seen the plane, but the dunes that all run along the Outer Banks and pretty much along everything from Cape Henry, Virginia, which is Virginia Beach at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, all the way down to I think even South Carolina. That was all built in the 1920s by hand to put people to work during the Great Depression. Those are WPA. Those are public works projects that were done. The dunes that you see on our ocean front. So yeah, that's just how some of the
I like Jay's comment. Sam Walker might as well be our one-stop source for anything to do with the Outer Banks.
Jake, just hit me up anytime. I probably can answer it. Most likely I will, but I'll try anyway. But yeah, that's how we fared. I mean, that little point down there that is Cape Hatteras, that's where the most of that damage you have seen, almost most of it, is that area right there. I'm curious to see. Zoom on down there. Let's see what it looks like from the air, because that really will give you.
You want me to go north?
Oh, wow. So that's the first time I've had a chance to look at what's called Cape Point. That is the most popular, best known surf fishing spot on the East Coast, if not the world. And it is completely changed. Again, that's one of the places that changes so much. Remember the Shelly Island craze a couple of years ago when this little island popped up out in the middle of right offshore? That's where that area was Shelly Island. So you see those yellow lines. If I believe those yellow lines are previous shorelines from previous surveys they've done. Shows you how evolving that is. But what you're seeing is the convergence of the Gulf Stream and the Labrador Current. That's what creates Diamond Shoals. That's what creates Cape Hatteras, and that's what creates the graveyard of the Atlantic. Is the convergence of those two currents. And that right there is the point, Cape Point of Cape Hatteras. That is why the fishing's so good there, but also why our coast is so dynamic. But just to the north, where the lighthouse is, you can see the lighthouse path move from this. That's really cool. But just north of that is where that old Navy base is.
Oh, gotcha. Because we're in the Buxton area here.
Yeah, and we're in Buxton. That's Old Lighthouse Road. That's the neighborhood where all the houses, the damage that we've seen. There's the motels where the DOT come back now. You're going too far north. There is the Cape Hatteras Motel right there at the bottom of the screen. That's where the DOT has its camera. So all those images you see all the time, that is where the water is. And you can see look at the water pouring underneath it from that.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
That's 4 feet of sand in their parking lot, by the way.
Right, because I'm like having a hard time telling the difference between beach and pavement.
Yeah, there isn't there. And so the Cape Hatteras Motel, the Outer Banks Motel, we call it just the motels. Everybody says we're going to the motels in Buxton. That's what we talk about. So you can see where the sand pushed over into trying to get to the sound. There's a little canal, by the way. You see there. But anyway, see how all this,
Are these sandbags?
Those are sandbags. When we talk about sandbags, we're not talking, like I said, the little flood ones you fill up with a shovel. Yeah, they're massive. They're as big as a car in some cases, and as big as a tractor trailer in some cases. So you can see the ocean just washing up underneath there. Daniel Pullen, who is a lifelong Hatteras Island resident, Buxton resident, acclaimed photographer, he's got photos. Which storm was it? He has this great photo that was in the New York Times that showed a pool table, waves breaking on a pool table. That's the area where that photo was taken.
Jeez.
Yeah. One more zoom down and we'll stop because I've taken up the whole show. Zoom down where you're at right now because that will show you that the old Navy base.
Right here?
Yeah. So that parking lot, that's what that is. That is the former naval station Hatteras, and it was a submarine listening post in the Cold War. Coast Guard took it over, and then they left there in the early 2000s. But what was left behind, it's a mess. That's pavement, that's oil, and that's diesel fuel. That's pipes, asbestos line pipes, all kinds of stuff that they have found there. Oh, that was when they were doing the power line restoration. You can see the telehandler. Yeah, you can see the telehandler from Cape Hatteras Electric Cooperative. There's a great video that guy shot that's actually up there. He's got on his social media. He pans around when he was at the top of the pole fixing the wire, and you can just see all that debris below him.
Right, because you can't just get some school kids and some garbage bags and go pick those stuff up.
No,
this is hazardous.
No, the Army Corps of Engineers has already done one project. They've got contractors coming in already there. You can see actually some of those contractors and the Army Corps is there at that moment that was taken. They'll be out there pulling that contaminated soil out and all that old infrastructure out. They've already done it once, and they did it and thought, hey, we got a lot of it. No, you only got a fraction of what's in there. It's crazy what got left behind at that thing. And that's something we've been dealing with now for a couple almost 2 years.
Yeah. Now I actually know where it is.
Yeah.
For our audio listeners, I'm sure that was all riveting.
Oh,
I'm gonna put the links to the satellite in the comment or the description so you can go play with it. I just called it a satellite. It's not satellite. Right. It is photography.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Sam. I mean, Jay is right. You are our one-stop source, and we're lucky to have you because it is painting a picture for me quite literally and connecting dots. Let's bring in Frank Strait because Frank, we are still climbing towards the peak of hurricane season, which will be in mid-September, and we're in a dry, cooler fall-like spell right now. But what is this I'm hearing about a possible coastal storm for this weekend? Is there truth to it?
Well, some truth to it. I'm not worried about
Sam's
any
mouthing no.
monstrosity that's going to
Not again.
make Sam miserable again.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, there is something to watch for this weekend. It's not going to be a tropical kind of thing. The tropics are dead, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. How there's really not much going on in the tropics aside from Fernand, which isn't really anything to worry about, especially for us. But anyway, there's current satellite picture. Showing the eastern 2/3 of the country. And right now, things are quiet because we have high pressure over the region that originated up in Canada. So it's sending unusually cooler and less humid air south. Now, check this out. The observations from Columbia. I have to make the font bigger. I already did that, but it likes to reset itself every few minutes. Our high in Columbia today was 83. Normal high is like 89. And our dew point was in the 50s. Yeah, dew point was in the 50s. It was down to 50 at one point. That's not supposed to happen in August. Not very often anyway, but it happened today. Just to give you an idea of how cool it is here on the Devil's back porch or front porch or whatever. Anyway, you can see if you're looking at the satellite picture, there's a lot of clouds to our west. There's one little disturbance over Arkansas and Missouri, where there's not a whole lot happening because there's a relatively dry air mass there. And as that disturbance gets east, it gets into even drier air. So we're not really all that worried about any rain here in the Carolinas from it, just some clouds as it pushes through this part of the country tomorrow. Our culprit for a potential active weekend is up here over the Pacific Northwest and Intermountain West right now. That's going to be heading our way. And as I switch over to the models here, we'll follow its progression. This is roughly tomorrow morning here, or rather the current time. And then as I advance through to tomorrow morning, we still have high pressure in charge centered roughly over Wytheville, Virginia. So not a thing happening here because we have high pressure over us, but you can see that next disturbance moving our way through the Central Plains states and eventually into the southeast by the time we get to Thursday night and Friday, and it's drifting slowly eastward from there, and then the precipitation spreads into South Carolina and most of North Carolina during the day there. It does not look like a great weekend, I'm afraid, because of the potential here for a lot of clouds and rain, which is not such a bad thing. We need some rain every now and then, just don't want it to happen on the weekend. But unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be relatively wet on Saturday, at least if the Euro's right. Some other models don't really have all that much rain happening on Saturday with the storm going further south. But I don't think those models are going to be right. The models, I'm showing you the Euro here, and our friend the Euro tends to do a lot better than the other models. So, and there are other models that are in agreement with it. So this is what I'm buying for now anyway. Looks like it's wet Saturday with some rain and embedded thunderstorms into Sunday as well. And as we go into later Sunday into Sunday night, notice the isobars, lines of equal pressure between the high to the north and the storm at this point centered over northern Florida. They get kind of closely packed. That means we have an increasing pressure gradient, which means the wind's going to pick up a little bit. I don't think we have any damaging winds or anything like that, but it's going to be cool, and then it's going to get breezy, and so it's going to feel, really cool, kind of like maybe early October rather than the end of August. Or, well, by this case, we're going into September, actually, Sunday night into Monday. But anyway, Monday also looks like a breezy, cool day, especially in South Carolina. Things remain wet. And then finally, the storm moves offshore and the breezy conditions move over the Outer Banks. Again, nothing that's really harsh, but maybe 30-mile-an-hour winds, kind of not really a nor'easter here. If anybody down south really knows what that means, that's more of a Yankee term there. But
right. I knew
that's why in my past life up north, I called the storms Yankee screamers. But anyway, right. So anyway, the storm moves on away by the time we get to the middle of next week. Another cold front moves in to keep our stretch of cool days going here, and it looks like next weekend could turn out to be a whole lot nicer. So,
but no doomsday hurricane showing up on the 300-hour run of a model.
No, nothing like that. I mean, toward the end of the the model runs, some of the models are showing the tropics maybe perking back up again, and I guess I can talk about that for a minute. First, let's look at what the tropics look like now. This is Fernand over here, a little, it barely looks like a tropical system anymore, and all the way up at 40 north. Not a surprise. It moved over the Gulf Stream again out there, so it perked up over the last 24 hours. But it's about to move over cooler waters again. So by this time tomorrow, it should be no longer a tropical system, and it's heading toward the UK. So it's not a problem for us. This mass of clouds here is disorganized and not really anything to worry about. It's our old front that moved through the other day. Nice tropical wave. This is the one that we were watching for the last week, and it had a nice circulation when it was east of the Lesser Antilles, and we thought, and the Hurricane Center thought, this thing has a chance to develop. Maybe it will. Some of the models were saying it would, but never happened. And ended up losing that circulation. Now it's moving into Central America, so better luck for it in the East Pacific. Another tropical wave right about here near Puerto Rico. Nothing happening with it. A couple more blobs out over the Atlantic associated with tropical waves. And again, no excitement there. None of the models are jumping on those, saying they'll develop. And there's one more tropical wave there coming off of Africa. That one looks a little bit more impressive, but it's about to move into an area where the air mass is dry and stable, so it's probably going to see the thunderstorm activity with it wane as well. So not a whole lot's going on, and let's talk about why that is. Well, where did I put my Madden-Julian oscillation map? There we go. It's because of the Madden-Julian oscillation. And this time I came armed with a graphic explaining what this is. This shows the Madden-Julian oscillation when it's typically in what we call its phase 1 to phase 2 position, where it's normally developing over the Indian Ocean and Southeast Asia. And this is a kind of little drawing here kind of explains what it looks like. You have an area of upward motion and an area of downward motion associated with it. It's kind of like a wave of energy, and the whole mass propagates, the whole shebang propagates eastward at 10 or 12 miles an hour, and the intensity of it varies, but it kind of modulates tropical activity, because where you have the upward motion, you get thunderstorms. You're more likely to get tropical cyclones to form. Where you get downward motion, thunderstorms are suppressed, and you're less likely to get tropical cyclones to form. Well, right now, this area is covering essentially the entire not the entire East Pacific. There is one active system out there, or was one recently, but it's more or less covering the East Pacific and through Central America and the Atlantic Basin, and suppressing thunderstorm activity. And that's why it's quiet over the Atlantic right now. But in about 2 weeks, the upward motion area starts to drift in again from the west. Things should start to perk up in the East Pacific and maybe the western part of the Atlantic as well. And by the time we get to mid-September, things could start to get more active again. So the hurricane season isn't over yet, not by a long shot. We're not even at halftime yet. So, and there's reason to believe in the long range things could get a little more active again. So let's not let your guard down and stay prepared.
I appreciate that update. You're right, Frank. Still so much left of this game. Let's take a look right now over King Street in Boone, because you were talking about some of those cooler temperatures, and I kind of just want to hijack our Carolina WeatherNet here for a second and just look at the 5-day forecast that's loading in right now for Boone, and you can see that their lows will be down at 50. I mean, in the last 24 hours, they got down into the 40s at night. So. I mean, I was in Boone this past weekend, guys, and I was wearing pants and long sleeves, but I mean, this is jacket weather now.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised only because I can say I've been on Mount Mitchell in the end of July, and it was 38 degrees. I camped there one time, hiked, backpacked back in college in the 90s, and it was 38 degrees in July. So, yeah.
Go back to my screen share, James.
Okay, going back to your screen share.
Mount Mitchell. 39 this morning.
Yeah, buddy.
That was this morning. Yesterday morning, it was even cooler. It was, or I think it was 34. I'm going back to through time here, and I guess I missed it here. But yeah, I think it had a 34 or something like that.
Okay, I believe you. Yeah. I will tell you, because we went to Boone this past weekend, and of course, it's not doing it now, but I was hoping this resort cam would swing around because I can actually show you the Airbnb we stayed in. It is like right off stage left here. And I was like, I have seen this building 1,000 times. Because, when you
Right.
book the Airbnb, you don't know exactly what the address is until you book it and you get the address. And I was like, oh, son of a, I know exactly where this is.
Yeah.
It was a lovely town. Boone, Blowing Rock. We went to Tweetsy Railroad.
Yes.
They are open for business, folks, and the Blue Ridge Parkway is coming along nicely as well too. And so, if you're going to be heading up there for the fall leaf season, is it something I said, Frank? Looking forward to seeing you.
No, I just had to dig in my nose for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Well,
All
you won't see
right.
that.
Well, hopefully you found what you were looking for.
I feel much better now.
So you got the
I've had a cold
Powerball
the past few
numbers.
days.
Find the Powerball numbers for us.
We're beyond the 1 hour mark, so I don't want to go through too many tabs, but I'll just do one because this would be really cool if you're out in Sam's country. But NASA Wallops for a couple nights now, back since during Aaron, has been trying to launch. Is it 3 rockets?
Yeah, it's 3 rockets, and I have seen. I can go back and remember when it was done in like 1978 for the shuttle, when it was part of. They were testing stuff for the shuttle before Columbia launched. And it is really amazing that you're sitting there and all of a sudden these like clouds, like jelly, we talk about the jellyfish effect when you see a Starlink launch here at sunrise or something. But this is a totally different experience. It's like it's almost like looking at animation, like of clouds just forming of multicolored clouds in the sky to our northeast. But yeah, we can see those. That's one cool thing that Wallops, where I'm at. It's neat because all I have to do is go in my backyard. And I know where to look. I'm either going to look that way. I can look that way, and I can actually see a Starlink, or
does it look like this?
Okay, so there's your Falcon. No, it's a totally different experience. There's a Falcon.
Okay, this is a different Wallops launch from a couple of years ago that we had on CWG.
Yeah. Right, that was the Falcon, and that one. Those are pretty cool. But when you see these, it just goes into this like, it looks like almost something like you would see animated, almost like anime. Of these like blobs in the sky, and they'll be white and they'll be purple, all depending on what
the colors.
The colors. Depending on what chemical composition they use. So yeah, I've tried to stay up the last 2 nights for that, and they've scrubbed because we've had too many clouds.
Right.
Yeah. So
if you're watching us live right now on Wednesday, August 27th, the next launch opportunity is hours from now at 3:30 a.m.
Nope, no, I don't stay up for that. I might get. I'm not staying up.
Sleep.
Yeah, no.
But
I'll watch for the videos.
People think rocket
launches a long way away too.
Yes, you can.
I saw one of them when I lived up in Pennsylvania. I found a high spot, and it was late in the evening when they launched, and it looked like something out of a 1980s video game. There was this little jet of plasma coming out of the back of the rocket. I could see that. I couldn't see any other details at all. But it was like watching something out of the video game Asteroids from the 70s.
Yes, that's exactly right. So.
My son and I have a high spot here that we can go if the lighting and the timing and the weather and all that is right. Like you could see launches from Cape Canaveral. It sounds crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can see actually when a first stage on a Falcon 9 ignites to do its descent. I can actually see it right over the top of the trees because of where I'm at. And there's nothing between me and Cape Canaveral except ocean.
I'm going to add that to my growing list of reasons to go visit Sam.
You got to come out here. That you can watch. It's really cool when they do this. Hey, I've got one I want to share with you.
Okay.
If I can hit share screen, right? And oh gosh, I got so many things open. I don't even know if I can.
That's why it's called too many tabs.
Yeah, I'm looking. Oh, there it is. Okay. I want to share the preliminary current risk for tomorrow.
It's low.
For the first time since August 13th, that a preliminary, but if it holds true, it would be the first time since August 1st that we had low rip current risk for the entire Newport Moorhead City forecast area. That is how this August has been for us out here on the coast because of the onshore flow and then Aaron. We've had nothing but moderates to highs. This is the first time since August 1st. And it's going to hold because we're looking at Lake Atlantic tomorrow, 2 foot seas or less with an east wind at 5 to 10 knots. So that's Lake Atlantic tomorrow. So yeah, first time in a month. It said this month since August 1st that it's been a low risk of rip currents for our section of the North Carolina.
Well, that is good to keep in mind if anyone's going to try to sneak away for a little Labor Day getaway here at the tail end of summer.
And hopefully Frank's low stays away, but I don't think
Frank.
it's going to.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
So, all right. Well, that does it for this edition of the Carolina Weather Group. We will see you back here next in September. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, no.
And we do hope you get subscribed. We are working, of course, on our Hurricane Helene 1-year anniversary. We're working on securing some news stories that maybe you haven't heard yet, and we're looking forward to bringing those to you very soon. Whether you're watching us here on YouTube or listening to our audio podcast or catching us on your favorite app, we're so glad that you are here. But on behalf of Sam and Frank, and thanks to our guest, Clint, I'm James Brierton in Charlotte. Stay well, be well, and we will talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I did it again. I forgot to run the names of all of our wonderful Patreon supporters, so I'm going to roll that again.